and where the direction of travel may be. We've seen oil prices rise in early trade in Asia today. First day in a few days that we've actually seen prices up at the open. Peter McGuire, CEO of XM Australia, sitting in Sydney. Peter, despite the terrible headlines and reality in India at the moment, the Sensex continues to perform very well, not really giving up much ground, and if anything, rising. Your thoughts on the outlook for markets, that top end of the K that seems undisturbed by all of the sort of COVID resurgence?
Well, good afternoon, Sean, and good afternoon, fellow panelists. I should say good morning. Sensex, yeah, it's been bid up, Sean. We're up 0.75%. It's a choppy day. We've got Malaysia down, Japan down 0.75%, Philippines spanked down. So it's not a positive day across Asia on a whole, but India's been well and truly bid up. And rolling across, of course, the building on Robin's comments as far as the COVID numbers, it seems to be, that seems to be gaining momentum, and I'm not sure how it plays over the next matter of weeks from a demand destruction standpoint. If it really ramps up so significantly, I've spent considerable time in India, and I appreciate the way people live over there, in the sense it's very, very crowded, as we all know, and that's a given, but you just hope that it can be contained. So there's the first part. The second part is, I feel as though that in some ways the Indian economy has got, it's going to be certainly bid up and further upside for the Sensex and the Nifty in the short term. But the only handbrake, of course, is the impact as far as COVID numbers, Sean.
Peter, the Chinese government seems to be in a steady and consistent sort of offensive against internet, further crackdowns on other internet companies in India, or in China rather. They had the antitrust crackdown against Jack Ma's companies. Now we have the food delivery company Meituan. What's your reading on this initiative? Where is it going? How significant is it?
Well, it's just a continuation as far as censorship, Sean. Where does it run from here? It's too hard to even get your mind around. We've got a very open system in Australia. Having a look at a closed system like China is foreign to our thinking, foreign and perverse to our way of life. So it's a different world. You've got Robin and yourself in Dubai, you've got Leo in Singapore, and they've got their own way of working with their constituents and their population. But Australia is very much a free flow, and China, that muzzling, I'm sure, will probably continue for many, many years ahead, unless we see a change of government.
Is it part of the sort of this wider kind of more robust posture of the Chinese government that we've seen? And of course, Australia, from the point of view of a country level, has been at the sort of coalface of this, and even most recently this week, seeing a lot of fruit exports sitting rotting on ships and not being offloaded. That this is all part of a wider, more robust posture of China.
Absolutely. I mean, even building on that, Sean, is that Victoria, the state of Victoria, the capital is Melbourne. The Premier signed a deal as far as Belt and Road a number of years ago. It came out in news over the last probably 12 months, and the federal government have taken the initiative of tearing the deal up. So that gives you an idea where our viewpoints are as far as China, that's domestically, and we just look through a different lens. We're located in the same geographic zone, but we've got a different way of everything.
Peter, we have this week the majors reporting earnings for first quarter. Your outlook for that, do you think, does that give any sort of guidance for where we may go forward in terms of capex and new supply?
Well, if you're making reference as far as the Teslas, Alphabets, Sean, in that regard, those big.
Well, I'm talking Exxon, BP.
Oh, pardon me. Yep, absolutely. Well, they've, as far as those I'm sure that I've kept a fairly close eye as far as numbers, but I think as well, they'll surprise a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if they're bid up, but these sort of numbers, as far as the 60 to 65 range for oil, and the possibility of even heading higher over the Northern Hemisphere summer, then it's a feel good, and it's a good time news for those big producers. Where does it move from here? Yeah, I think you'd have to be looking at those style of stocks in a portfolio, and the reasoning is that they were undersold and now they're showing some true value.
Peter, on this point, I mean, there's so many different reasons to be quite bullish as this market has been across all asset classes now for a number of months. We're seeing, as I keep repeating, the future benchmark for lumber and wood hitting a record every day, 50% plus jump this year to date. The World Bank giving massive growth forecasts, and yet oil cannot really build up any momentum. Is the high in for 21?
Well, also on that, Sean, we've seen very, very strong prices as far as base metals. I'll just throw that in, and copper prices. We've got 8 months to go till the end of the year. You touch 70. I think there's too much time to travel. I still think that there's every chance you could hit a 75. Something wild might happen. Who knows what can happen over the next 8 months? Yeah, we
can
see
you
the
get there
news
without aviation fuel being, I mean, not back at 19 levels, but this room, at least today, seems fairly pessimistic on people going to be getting on airplanes. I mean, I'm going to get on one as soon as I can personally, but without aviation fuel, can you get?
I think you can, Sean, and I think that they will be flying quicker than what we think. As far as Americans going to Europe for summer, if you've got the passport, then that tells me that they get a green light to go. So that's where a lot of comments coming from. I don't know whether Australians are going to be travelling there, but certainly the US tourists, that could be a possibility. I still think that US dollar's got capacity to probably be an 89 handle. So there's further downdraft there, and that might push up crude a couple more bucks. So yeah, there's enough news out there and enough noise to see crude trend higher over the next matter of Northern Hemisphere summer. Demand picture, US driving season, all of those sort of things. You might see more consumption that way. So yeah, I think it's too hard to speculate that we've seen the highs already for the year.